This is the practice video for the Jupiter excerpt. So, two of the major technical issues that you will face, especially with the left hand in this excerpt, has to do with the key signature and the use of extensions, and also the different types of shifts that you have to use in here. So, talking about the shifts first, I want to talk about three different categories that you find within this excerpt. The first one is replacement shifts. You'll find this in measure 75, 79, and 86. Fortunately, every time it happens in these three measures, it's the exact same shift. So you just have to practice it really well once and you can apply that to these three measures. So what happens in 75, we start on C natural with our second finger, and then on beat 2, we play that same C natural with our first finger. And that's a replacement shift where we're playing the same note but replacing the finger here. In this case, second finger replacing with first finger. So the way to practice this shift is I like to double each note. So I'll play the second finger C twice, pause, replace with your first finger, pause, replace with your second finger, and so on. I think a good goal for when you practice is aim to do that roughly 10 to 15 times every time that you practice, just going back and forth from second finger to first finger, back to second finger. The next category of shift that we have are the long shifts. Now, when you make these long shifts, they basically always happen from B flat on the A string up to E flat on the A string here. Sometimes you're shifting from first finger to first finger, like what happens from measure 79 to measure 80. Going the last beat of measure 79, you play D to B flat, and then you shift on the first finger to the first finger on E flat in measure 80. So similar to the replacement shift, the way that I would suggest practicing this is double each note nice and slow. So you play the B flat and very slowly slide to the E flat. Slowly slide back to the B flat. An important thing to consider when you're doing these long shifts is that the shifts have to be very slow and very smooth. If you shift fast and kind of a jerky motion, that won't help you as much as really making sure that the shift is smooth. So it happens again, measure 75 to measure 76, but this time it's from first finger on B flat to second finger on the E flat. So you can practice it the exact same way. 2 notes on the B flat, shift nice and slow to the E flat. This time going to second finger. Like I mentioned with the replacement shift, I think it would be a good idea, each of these shifts, the first finger to first finger to second finger, aim to practice these about 10 to 15 times each in each practice session. The final shift that I want to talk about occurs in measure 86. This is an interesting shift because it's a shift that occurs during a string crossing. So in this measure, we're coming down here, E flat, D, C, and then we have to play B flat on the D string. So this is a shift that occurs during the string crossing. The way that I like to practice this is that you'll actually add a note when you practice this. So the note that you'll add is once you play the C, before the shift happens, instead of shifting straight to the B flat with your fourth finger, shift that first finger C up one whole step to D, and then cross to the D string. So it'll sound like this. When you practice, aim to do that exact shift 10 to 15 times. Once you feel comfortable with that, then you can leave out the D and just go straight from C to B flat. again, aim for about 10 to 15 repetitions on that one as well. With the key signature, it's important to note that there are going to be a lot of extensions in here because of the B flats and because of the E flats. So the way that I'm going to address the extensions in this video, and this can apply to the shifts as well, is it's very important to make sure your music is organized and marked up. So I would suggest taking a pencil and finding all of the extensions in there and circling all of the extensions. If you've got colored pencils, take a red pencil, circle all the extensions with a red pencil. Along with the shifts, a good way to organize your music with that is anytime that you've shifted and you're in a new position, you can bracket that new position with a pencil. You can circle where that shift is. That way when you're looking at your music, you see exactly what you're supposed to do. One final word about practicing with this one is that it's very important for the tone to be really majestic sounding here. So what I prefer for the tone with this one is to make sure that I'm really using a lot of bow on all and every note, trying to use as much bow that I can and trying to vibrate where possible. It can be tricky in this one because you've got a lot of these extensions in here, and sometimes extensions are not necessarily the most comfortable thing to vibrate. But if you're able to get at least a wiggle on every note, then that will do wonders for the tone and will help your excerpt sound as good as it can.